It's Wednesday, April 5. In the headlines, Jamaica Constabulary Force reports decrease in major crimes. In business news, Grace Kennedy completes acquisition of Scotia Insurance Caribbean. Regionally, Barbados on its way to becoming a fully diversified economy. On the international scene, former U.S. President Donald Trump pleads not guilty to 34 felony charges. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett has reiterated his commitment to strengthening relations between the Caribbean and Africa. According to the minister, the Caribbean has a golden opportunity to work together in this new mode of competition that is driving the way forward for tourism collaboration. Minister Bartlett indicated that there is an opportunity to become the bridgehead for Africa to the markets of the Americas. Maya Chung has more.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is currently in the United States and should be until mid-April on the government's quest to shore up and build upon Jamaica's tourism product. Speaking on April 3 at a ministerial roundtable at the African Tourism Investment Summit in Cape Town, South Africa, Minister Bartlett said that it is a wonderful opportunity for a reverse diaspora experience. The minister said that what he and the team members representing Jamaica are currently engaged in is a mission to give back to Africa from the New World. This giving back, he explains, is based on Jamaica's expertise and the nation's investment in resources in building the tourism that the Caribbean has become famous and proficient in delivering. Minister Bartlett added that it is Jamaica's chance to give back to Africa, and tourism can be the vehicle. The ministerial roundtable, titled Developing a Sustainable Tourism Industry in Africa by Integrating Cultural Environment, Good Governance, and Social Concerns, included presentations from government ministers, finance executives, and administrators from South Africa, Botswana, Spain, and Sierra Leone. The African market of 1.3 billion people is being eyed as the next big source market for tourists to Jamaica, as the industry seeks to diversify beyond traditional markets in North America and Europe. He added that in furtherance of this objective, exploratory talks have been held with representatives of Ethiopian Airlines, Kenya Airways, and Rwanda Air concerning regular air service between Africa and Jamaica. This will not only open up the African market to the Caribbean, but also Jamaica will become the gateway by which persons in North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean may travel to the African continent. The African Tourism Investment Summit, being held between April 3 to 5, 2023, attracts hundreds of ministers. For the news on PBC Jamaica, I am Maya Chung.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness says children 12 years and younger are now able to access free medical care at the University Hospital of the West Indies, the UHWI. This comes as the Bustamante Hospital for Children, located in the Southeast Health region, has been seeing an increase in admissions, mainly due to respiratory illnesses. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is therefore advising that children with any illness now be taken to the University Hospital of the West Indies, where they will be treated by the medical team there. Major crime declined by 22% in March. That's the word from Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF. The police gave a breakdown of that report during a press brief on Tuesday, stating that the statistics were compared to the same period last year.
Murders were down by 21%. Shootings were down by 13%. Rapes were down by 47%. Robberies were down by 32%, and break-ins down by 11%.
Those words from Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson. He says, however, that officers continue to see a shift in the attribution of murders, with the reduction in gang-related murders relative to interpersonal conflict.
With a reduction in the gang-related murders relative to interpersonal conflict. As at March 31st again, gang conflicts accounted for 67% of these murders. Interpersonal conflicts accounted for 22%. while 4% occurred in the furtherance of other criminal acts, and 7% are still being determined.
The police chief is optimistic that people will soon feel safe again, adding that the JCF will continue to partner with key agencies as well as provide the requisite support.
It's not lost on us that the support from the JDF and other key partners has been integral in achieving these results. We expect to continue to impact crime and violence while we remain committed to all of the other community support activities.
Major General Anderson is urging Jamaicans to continue working with the police and provide information to rid their communities of criminals.
A 24-year-old man, Shamar Yee of Fairview Park, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, is facing the courts on 12 charges related to one of the recent robberies just outside banks in Portmore, St. Catherine. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson gave an update during a press brief on Tuesday, saying progress is being made in the police investigations into the two robberies.
Everyone is aware of the recent cases in Portmore. These understandably created fear and concern, even though our robberies are considerably down this year when compared to previous years. The investigations into these robberies are progressing apace. With the use of technology, rapid intelligence gathering, and agile investigative processes, we were able to quickly progress the cases immediately following the incident. In the more recent case, this led to the recovery of vehicles and other evidence, as well as the apprehension of a key suspect.
Jamaica's first technology conference for teens will be hosted by EduHub Company Limited on Wednesday, April 5 at the Woolmer's Boys School in Kingston. Endorsed by the Ministry of Education and Youth, this premier event, dubbed Teen Tech JA, will be held under the theme, "The future is here. Are you ready?" Chief Executive Officer and founder of EduHub Company Limited, Davia Bryan, told JIS that her organization recognized the need for greater student involvement in preparation to become the 21st century citizens who are agile and are better able to function in a technology-driven society. Maya Chung tells us more.
Founder of the EduHub Company Limited, Davia Bryan, indicated her pride that her company is to be the flagship organization working to design and execute Jamaica's premier technology event for students. Ms. Bryan indicated that her team welcomed the endorsement of MOEY. The event, which targets students at the grades 9 to 13 level in high schools across the island, is aimed at exposing adolescents to new and emerging technologies and innovation. Highlights of the conference will be the announcement of the top 3 competitors of the Future Innovators Pitch Competition sponsored by eLearning Jamaica. Students are required to pitch a technology-based product that can be used to solve a problem in their schools. The winner of this competition will also be announced. Several industry experts will be on hand to share their experiences and give empowering presentations to students and teachers to equip them with the tools necessary to become productive, market-ready global citizens. For the news on PBCJ, I am Maya Chung.
Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Grace Kennedy has finalized its acquisition of Scotia Insurance Caribbean Limited and announced that the company will be rebranded as GK Life. GK says the acquisition allows for the expansion of its insurance business across the Caribbean with offerings in 5 new territories, and that there will be no change to existing customer policies associated with the acquisition. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, April 4, the US dollar sold for an average of $152.86. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $113.51. The pound sterling traded for $189.85, and the euro sold for an average of $165.43. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by 390 points. The junior market index advanced by 34 points. The combined market index declined by 40 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 494 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 104 stocks, of which 44 advanced, 43 declined, and 17 traded firm. Stocks advanced for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Trading firm were Carreras Limited, Consolidated Bakeries Jamaica Limited, and Dollar Financial Services Limited. The overall volume leaders were Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 5 million units, Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with over 1 million units, and Siboney Group Limited with over 900,000 units. In regional business, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted 50 shares. Zero securities traded on the Barbados Stock Exchange. In regional business, Trinidad and Tobago's Trade and Industry Minister Paula Gopi-Scoon says government is working to improve port services and provide additional market access for their local goods and services. Terry Brown Campbell has the story.
According to Minister of Trade and Industry Paula Gopi-Scoon, government is working to improve the ease of doing business for local and international firms.
Cabinet has agreed, we've actually signed on, and the consultant is on board for the port connectivity system, and I'm talking about the connectivity and logistics. So this system will benefit you in terms of improved efficiency and increased transparency of port operations, enhanced security and improved data management by providing real-time information and streamlining the port processes.
Minister Gopi-Scoon said government is making a big push to pursue international market access for local goods and services.
The new commercial offices that we are soon to open in London, in Miami, and in also Panama, and also the appointment of the relative commercial officers and the soon-to-be hired deputies. Also, the attachés are soon to be appointed. And I say soon to be appointed, we've passed the stage of cabinet.
Noting that the non-energy manufacturers' exports have grown by 25%, the minister indicated these exports have reached more than 144 countries.
In particular, the appointments to Miami, to London, and to Panama would be made by the end of this month. Cabinet has already approved them. And that is in your interest, again, into ensuring that you have access to markets and that there are people on the ground working with your firms. That's the idea behind that.
The Trade Minister made her comments as she addressed the TNT Manufacturers Association's annual general meeting on Tuesday. Terry Brown Campbell, TTT News.
In international business, Wall Street's main indexes slipped as evidence of a cooling economy exacerbated worries of a recession. More in this Reuters report.
U.S. stocks dropped on Tuesday after economic data came in weaker than predicted. That raised worries that the Federal Reserve's moves to rein in decades-high inflation may cause a deep downturn. The Dow lost 0.6%. The S&P 500 fared about the same, while the Nasdaq slipped 0.5%. Job openings in February fell to their lowest level in nearly 2 years, which raised concerns about the health of the economy, according to Riverfront Investment Group Chief Investment Officer Kevin Nicholson.
The markets are being driven by the JOLTS report that came out this morning that showed that we were under 10 million jobs for the first time since May of 2021. And so that gave the market the impression that, the labor market was slowing and that the Fed would have to take that into consideration and probably not raise rates.
Also, factory orders fell more than anticipated, their second straight monthly decline. Bank stocks took a hit after J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon warned in a letter to shareholders that the U.S. banking crisis is ongoing and that its impact will be felt for years.
In market data for oil prices were stable as the market weighed global economic prospects against expectations of U.S. crude inventory declines and plans by OPEC Plus producers to reduce output. Brent crude futures fell 22 cents to $84.72 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude was down 20 cents to $80.51. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, Barbados is well on the way to becoming a fully diversified economy. The comment came from Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology Davidson Ishmael at the Staff Awards luncheon of Export Barbados at Sandals Royal Resort. Trevor Thorpe reports.
The minister praised the long-standing awardees and told them much is in store for Export Barbados BIDC and everything is in place as the development takes shape.
For the financial year 2023 to 2024, MIS, through funding from the Organization of American States, as well as through the engagement of services from a consultant, will establish a science, technology, and innovation policy for Barbados, as well as a framework for the measurement of local research and development and innovation.
Speaking on the theme, Explore, the minister cautioned awardees against becoming comfortable in their current achievements as more is coming to the industry.
A life sciences hub within the Caribbean, and in that regard, the inclusion and promotion of science and technology, an upgrade in our renewable energy strategies, and clean technology capabilities are all crucial efforts to build out this important life sciences industry. Therefore, and in closing, I wish to commend the Export Barbados team for introducing and expanding the use of technology in your day-to-day activities and promoting it to your clientele. However, I would like to challenge you, and indeed all present, to not get too comfortable with your current achievements, but to continue to explore, continue to innovate, and continue to create value for yourselves and, by extension, the people of Barbados.
According to the minister, the climate crisis has proven itself to be very real, and the approach to development and exploration will play a pivotal role in how Barbados does business.
As a small island developing state in this regard, this is an issue that must be kept at the forefront of our strategies. And this is why sustainability and circularity should be the foundation upon which our exploration is built. As we explore the ways in which we can upgrade our product designs, our manufacturing, our packaging, and all facets of production, sustainability, and circularity, these things must form the lens through which we must now navigate.
Minister Ishmael commended the Export Barbados BIDC team for introducing and expanding the use of technology and creating value by promoting it to its clients. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Grenada health officials are urging caution amid an ongoing gastro and acute respiratory illness outbreak. The figures for infected people put forward by the Ministry of Health this year show an increase in infections compared to the same period last year.
The Ministry of Health has announced that thousands of Grenadians were affected by an outbreak of gastroenteritis, commonly known as gastro. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sean Charles says the outbreak has affected over 3,000 people of all age groups between January to present, which is much more than the 70 cases recorded in 2022 for the same period.
Grenada is experiencing an outbreak of acute gastroenteritis. Now, this condition is characterized by nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramps, and watery diarrhea. Some individuals may have fever and muscle pain, and the symptoms generally last between 1 to 3 days. Now, this increase in cases were noticed about 3 weeks ago, and in the last 3 weeks, a total of 345 cases were reported.
Most of the cases recorded this year are persons between the ages of 1 to 4 and 25 to 40 years. The parishes of St. Andrew, St. George and Carriacou and Petite Martinique are mostly affected, with the highest number of cases recorded in St. George. While many of the gastro cases are mild, it can cause serious dehydration and death in persons who have underlying conditions. The CMO spoke of how this virus is transmitted and how people can fight the illness.
Now, this disease is transmitted via what we call the fecal-oral route through the consumption of food and water that is contaminated with viruses and bacteria. It is also transmitted when unclean or contaminated hands or objects touch the mouth.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the Gender and Child Affairs Division of the Office of the Prime Minister is offering transition assistance to young adults who age out of the children's homes. The inaugural orientation session for the Transition Support Program was held on Tuesday. Mahala Joseph Wharton has more.
Minister with responsibility for Gender and Child Affairs Ayanna Webster Roy said the government is committed to ensuring that young people are prepared to face the future.
And I'm saying to each and every one of you, you are destined for greatness, despite what you would have encountered in the past.
She urged them to use the training opportunity to enhance their lives.
Use this current time, space, use this current period of your life as a springboard to propel you towards achieving all that you have the ability to achieve. Rest assured that your government is standing with you 100%.
Minister Webster Roy said the Transition Support Program is much more than a training program.
And it's so important in this time, besides the academics, to get a skill. One thing I could tell you, once you have a skill, you always have the opportunity to eat.
Participants came from 5 homes: the Credo Drop-In and Development Center and Credo Foundation for Justice Sophia House, Haven of Hope, St. Jude's School for Girls, and the Islamic Home for Children. The first cohort of the program will have the opportunity to develop skills in barbering, general cooking, photography, and radio and television broadcasting. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
In international news, Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts in a Manhattan courtroom on Tuesday, in the first case of a former or current president to face criminal charges in United States history. Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo has more in this report.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has defended himself against a string of criminal investigations in an address to his supporters at his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. He pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts in a Manhattan courtroom on Tuesday, the first sitting of former U.S. president to do so. Gabriel Elizondo has more from New York.
They are images that will go down in U.S. history. Donald Trump arriving at a court in Manhattan. Gone was the traditional swagger that has defined Trump's persona. Today, the former president was uncharacteristically somber, as he became the first current or former president to ever be charged with a crime. And this is what he's been charged with, the indictment being unsealed before Trump in the courtroom. 34 felony counts, including falsifying business records and other charges stemming from a $130,000 hush money payment to a former adult film star. Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to all the charges. The case against Trump laid out later by the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
34 false statements made to cover up other crimes. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are. We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct.
However, the indictment did not impress Trump's legal team.
He's frustrated, he's upset, but I'll tell you what, he's motivated, and it's not going to stop him, and it's not going to slow him down.
Earlier, outside the courthouse, the anticipation had built to a fever pitch as both supporters and detractors of the former president gathered outside.
It's a phony case, everybody knows that. Political persecution.
Today is the beginning of a long series of potential prosecutions ahead.
Finally, after hours of waiting, Trump's motorcade arrived right past our camera. Donald Trump's motorcade arriving here at the courthouse. He's in one of these vehicles a historic moment.
It's a very scary time. It's a very fragile time for American democracy. And not only should Americans be nervous, but people around the world should be as well.
This is just the start of what likely will be a long legal battle. The next phase will be a trial. Trump's lawyers argued to the judge that they don't want that trial to begin until the middle of next year, putting it right smack in the middle of a presidential campaign, one in which it's probable Trump himself would be a top contender for the Republican nomination. Trump left court without comment after more than 2 hours inside. Later in the evening, when Trump returned to his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, he broke his silence.
This fake case was brought only to interfere with the upcoming 2024 election, and it should be dropped immediately.
Trump showing his defiance against a judicial process that is very much in motion. Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera, New York.
Well, let's take a closer look at the case against the former U.S. president. A statement from the District Attorney's Office said from August 2015 to December 2017, Trump orchestrated his catch-and-kill scheme through a series of payments that he then concealed through months of false business entries. In one instance, the DA alleges $30,000 was paid to a former Trump Tower doorman who claimed to have a story about a child Trump had out of wedlock. In a second instance, $150,000 was paid to a woman who alleged she had a sexual relationship with Trump. And in a third instance, 12 days before the presidential general election, $130,000 was wired to an attorney for an adult film actress. Michelle Bernard's a lawyer, political analyst, and the president of the Bernard Center for Women, Politics and Public Policy. She says the district attorney has a strong case against the former president.
It appears that his strategy is not a new one. It will be to call the investigation and the case fake. Just like we became accustomed to hearing the former president use the terms fake news, I expect and strongly suspect that we will continue to hear him say that this is a fake investigation. It is a fake case. I believe that he will continue to say that it is politically motivated and go back to discuss a lot of the things that we used to hear him say about many things that were happening here in the United States, including cases of quote unquote election fraud, which we know never happened. What they presented us with were just the bare bone facts. There's not a long preamble. There's not a long statement of facts to go along with each element of the offense that he has been charged with. It feels like a strong case. If you ask me to rate it 1 out of 10, with 10 being the highest likelihood of him being found guilty, I would probably rate it at a 7 or an 8, which is a high probability. It's not a sexy case. It is a case of of falsifying documents with the intent to commit another crime. What will be more interesting is to see whether or not this is a one and only case, or if this is the beginning of an avalanche of cases that we are going to see coming after the former president on the state level and at the federal level.
And that's the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom Gale. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.